What research are you seeing here that you find the most exciting?
Everything and anything RNA. There's a really cool symposium or session yesterday on RNA therapeutics using computational and experimental approaches. That was pretty hot.
Oh man, I mean, actually having an entire session devoted to how you can use chemistry for sustainability-driven applications is pretty exciting to me. So I'm glad to see that we and others are focused on trying to come at this problem from many different directions.
I mean, the Talented 12 Symposium was just so amazing. I love hearing about Frances Arnold's story. It's always so inspiring. And also just seeing the diversity of how chemistry can be used in so many different realms of research with all the amazing cohorts for this symposium was super inspiring, and I really enjoyed it.
I guess it would be to learn more about the research that I'm doing in targeted protein degradation. As a medicinal chemist, it's also really fun to see the first disclosure talks, to see what other companies are doing to treat patients with diseases that have high unmet medical needs.
I'm really excited about using sodium and sulfur to make more globally abundant batteries to address some of our climate change needs.
You know, everything's exciting in its own way. You know, I think we've had a lot of really exciting results recently with iron catalysis and vitamin B12 catalysis. But, again, we're just always one experiment away from the next direction. So, really, if somebody's excited about it in our lab, I'm super excited about it.
Really just talked to my colleague on radionuclides to study pharmaceutical systems. And the question is why I want to be using that to study material science problems. So that's been cool to learn. Yeah.
I thought Ahmed Badran's talk on evolving more efficient Rubisco variants was so exciting, and both obviously from the applied, the implications for climate change, but also for our understanding of basic plant biology. Why are these proteins so inefficient in the first place, and what fitness advantage does that have? I thought that just raised so many interesting questions.
Oh, I love that what Nako was talking about, the neurotransmitters. I'm actually wearing a bracelet that has all those neurotransmitters he was talking about.
I would say really just the breadth of research. So many different topics, so many different collaborations. I think it's really exciting, and looking towards sustainable solutions for a variety of industries, a variety of problems that face the world. I think that's the most exciting thing to do.
Oh, I love the fact that people are being so creative in enzymology, making enzymes do the most amazing things. My former students and people all over the world are looking at biology with completely new eyes now, the chemist's eyes.
When you're not in a scientific crowd, what's your favorite go-to example of chemistry in the real world?
Microplastics is easy because everybody knows about them. But then combining radiochemistry is sometimes tricky because people think that when I work with radioactivity, it makes me radioactive, and they take like a couple steps away. So I try to always make sure that they understand the difference between working with something and getting contaminated.
I guess, I find myself having to explain what natural products are quite a bit, so I always go back to the, examples of the first natural product antibiotics, penicillin, or the first natural product anti-cancer drugs like doxorubicin. So those are good ones.
I mean, I think one thing that really connects with people, at least from my perspective, is sustainability. Again, just trying to do right by the planet and, make things that aren't going to mess it up too much worse. So, moving away from those super precious, gold, platinum, the things we want to make jewelry out of for catalysts. Why are catalytic converters are so expensive? Why can't we use dirt like iron and cobalt?
I tell them if they watch Breaking Bad and say that I make drugs just in a more legal and regulated way.
Batteries, I've fallen in love with batteries because they're very easy to explain things to people, and everyone already has a personal understanding of what a battery means and what a battery does and what challenges they have with batteries. So I often use that as a gateway to teach about chemistry.
That every atom of carbon that you are built from either came from a plant or a bacteria.
I do spend a lot of time talking about beer brewing. That's chemistry, but not what I do in the lab. And a little bit more about rocks, like like this one right here. So straight silica, People like chemistry. They just don't know they like chemistry. I have to let them know that this is what it's about. So.
I didn't see it at the top, but what's the deal with this rock?
So this is actually called Libyan desert glass, and 29 million years ago, there was a meteorite that hit a desert in Egypt, and this was actually formed. And the story behind it is in the 1920s, they dug up King Tut's grave. They opened it up, and he had this breastplate on him. And this was actually not this one specifically, but there's a stone very much like this in the middle, and no one for like over a decade knew what it was. And then in the 1930s, someone had actually gone out to the desert and said, hey, that's that thing that we've been trying to figure out from King Tut's breastplate. And so it became pretty popular. Nowadays, you can actually find it on Etsy if you want your own piece. However, I got this from the coolest geologist I know, Mike Rampino. He's at NYU. Does some really cool stuff. You can find him on PBS. So, yeah.
I guess I like to connect with people through other means like sports, or for example, I was just talking to a couple of my fellows who are saying like, oh, I also do triathlon, or I also am a runner, I did track and field. And so I think that's a really great way to connect, and I always made friends through being on teams like this throughout my journey. In UCLA, I joined a triathlon team. In Fordham, I was on track and field, and so it's a really nice way to connect with people outside of science.
I mean, batteries are a fun one because most people can relate to them. So I talk about like better ways to charge your phone, or things to consider with respect to batteries.
I would say, yeah, tires are pretty. It's remarkable. I never knew until I started at Goodyear how complex they are and how much goes into them.
Cooking.
Cooking.
No doubt.